Have you ever grabbed those leftovers from the fridge, warmed them up, and thought you were making a smart, healthy choice for lunch? What if I told you that some of those innocent-looking reheated meals could be quietly undermining your health, potentially increasing your risk of inflammation, digestive problems, and even memory issues? Today, we're exploring 5 everyday foods that medical professionals and nutrition experts strongly advise against reheating. Not because they taste bad, but because the reheating process can create harmful compounds that accumulate in your body over time. These aren't exotic or unusual foods. These are staples you probably have in your kitchen right now. Foods you've been eating for decades without a second thought. But recent scientific research has revealed how the simple act of reheating can transform nutritious ingredients into sources of oxidative stress, inflammation, and cellular damage. The effects aren't immediate or dramatic, which makes them particularly dangerous because they build up slowly, silently affecting your energy, cognitive function, and overall vitality. Throughout this video, we'll dive deep into the science behind each food, explain exactly what happens during the reheating process, and most importantly, share practical strategies to help you continue enjoying these foods safely. By the end, you'll have the knowledge to make informed choices that protect your health while still maintaining the convenience and nutrition you need. If you're finding value in this information, I'd appreciate it if you'd give this video a like to help us reach more people who could benefit from these insights. Number 1. Reheated spinach releases dangerous nitrate compounds. Margaret from Denver discovered this the hard way. For months, she'd been batch cooking spinach lasagna every Sunday, storing portions in the refrigerator, and reheating them throughout the week for quick, nutritious meals. She felt proud of her meal prep routine until she started experiencing persistent digestive discomfort and unexplained fatigue. It wasn't until a conversation with her doctor about dietary toxins that she learned about the hidden risks lurking in her reheated spinach. Spinach is undeniably a nutritional champion. This vibrant leafy green contains impressive amounts of vitamins A, C, and K plus iron, folate, and powerful antioxidants that support everything from bone health to immune function when consumed fresh or lightly cooked. Spinach provides remarkable benefits for cardiovascular health, eye protection, and even cancer prevention. However, the story changes dramatically when spinach undergoes the cycle of cooking, storage, and reheating. The issue centers on spinach's naturally high nitrate content in their original form. Nitrates are beneficial compounds that support healthy blood circulation, help regulate blood pressure, and can even enhance exercise performance. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition confirms these positive effects. However, when cooked spinach sits in storage, especially if left at room temperature or stored improperly, bacteria naturally present on the leaves begin converting these harmless nitrates into nitrites. The real danger emerges during reheating. High temperatures, particularly the intense, uneven heat of microwaves, cause nitrites to transform into nitrosamines, compounds that research has repeatedly linked to increased cancer risk. The World Health Organization and National Cancer Institute have published extensive studies showing how nitrosamines can damage DNA, promote tumor growth, and contribute to gastrointestinal cancers. Even more concerning for older adults, these compounds may contribute to neuroinflammation, potentially accelerating cognitive decline and increasing the risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Consider how this might play out in real life. Robert from Phoenix, a retired teacher, loved making large batches of spinach and ricotta stuffed shells. He'd prepare them on weekends, freeze portions, and reheat them throughout the month. While convenient, this routine meant that the spinach in those shells underwent multiple temperature changes, creating optimal conditions for nitrate breakdown and nitrosamine formation. Over years of this habit, Robert was unknowingly exposing himself to compounds that could accumulate in his system and contribute to long-term health risks. The vulnerability increases with age. As we get older, our cellular repair mechanisms become less efficient, and our bodies have greater difficulty processing and eliminating toxins. The liver, kidneys, and other detoxification organs work harder and with less efficiency, meaning that compounds that might have been easily managed in our 30s and 40s can create more significant stress on our systems in our 60s and beyond. This doesn't mean you need to eliminate spinach from your diet. Instead, focus on smarter preparation and consumption strategies. Whenever possible, eat spinach fresh in salads, smoothies, or lightly sautéed dishes that you consume immediately. If you must prepare spinach dishes in advance, consider enjoying leftovers cold rather than reheated. Cold spinach soup, spinach salad with warm grains, or room temperature spinach and pasta dishes can be delicious and safe alternatives. When reheating is unavoidable, use gentle methods. Instead of microwaving, reheat spinach containing dishes slowly on the stovetop using low to medium heat. This reduces the rapid temperature changes that promote nitrosamine formation. Also, store cooked spinach dishes in the refrigerator immediately after cooking and consume them within 24 to 48 hours to minimize the time available for nitrate breakdown. If you're still following along and finding this information valuable, please comment one below to let me know you're learning alongside me. Your engagement helps us continue sharing these important health insights. Number 2, reheated potatoes create perfect conditions for harmful bacteria. Thomas from Atlanta learned about this risk during a family gathering that took an unexpected turn. His wife had prepared a large batch of foil-wrapped baked potatoes for their barbecue, and when guests arrived late, the potatoes sat at room temperature for several hours before being refrigerated. 2 days later, Thomas reheated one for lunch, and within hours, he was experiencing severe nausea, dizziness, and weakness that lasted for days. His doctor explained that improperly handled potatoes can harbor dangerous bacteria that produce potent toxins. Potatoes are beloved comfort food, cherished for their versatility, affordability, and satisfying nature. Whether mashed with butter and cream, roasted with herbs and olive oil, or baked until fluffy and crisp-skinned, potatoes provide essential nutrients like potassium, vitamin C, and fiber. They're also an excellent source of resistant starch when cooled, which can benefit gut health and blood sugar regulation. However, the process of cooking, cooling, storing, and reheating potatoes creates unique risks that many people don't understand. The primary concern involves Clostridium botulinum, the bacterium responsible for botulism. This organism thrives in low-oxygen environments and can multiply rapidly in starchy foods like potatoes, especially when they're wrapped in foil, which creates an anaerobic environment perfect for bacterial growth. When potatoes are cooked, then allowed to cool slowly at room temperature before refrigeration, they spend extended time in the danger zone between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, where harmful bacteria multiply exponentially. The toxins produced by C. botulinum are particularly insidious because they're odorless, tasteless, and invisible. Even potatoes that look, smell, and taste normal can contain enough toxin to cause serious illness. When these contaminated potatoes are reheated, especially using uneven heating methods like microwaving, the toxins aren't necessarily destroyed, and some areas of the potato may not reach temperatures high enough to kill remaining bacteria. For older adults, this risk carries additional weight. Age-related changes in immune function mean that seniors are more susceptible to foodborne illnesses and may experience more severe symptoms when exposed to bacterial toxins. Additionally, the gut-brain connection, increasingly recognized in medical research, means that bacterial toxins and gut inflammation can directly impact cognitive function, mood, and mental clarity. Chronic low-level exposure to such toxins may contribute to the inflammation associated with neurodegenerative diseases. Picture this scenario. Linda from Sacramento bakes 6 large russet potatoes on Sunday evening, wraps them individually in foil, and lets them cool on the counter while she cleans up dinner. An hour later, she places them in the refrigerator. On Wednesday, she takes one out, removes the foil, and microwaves it for her lunch. While this seems like a reasonable approach to meal planning, Linda unknowingly created ideal conditions for bacterial growth during that crucial cooling period, and the subsequent reheating may not have eliminated all risks. The texture and flavor changes in reheated potatoes often signal these underlying issues. Fresh baked potatoes have a light, fluffy interior and crisp skin. After storage and reheating, they frequently become dense, gummy, or develop an off flavor. These changes reflect not just moisture loss, but also chemical and bacterial changes that can impact both safety and digestibility. Resistant starch, formed when potatoes cool, offers some health benefits by acting as a prebiotic fiber. However, when improperly stored potatoes are reheated, you lose most of these benefits while potentially gaining bacterial risks. The safest approach is to consume potatoes fresh whenever possible, or to use leftover potatoes in cold preparations like potato salad, where reheating isn't required. If you must store cooked potatoes, cool them quickly by removing them from hot environments and refrigerating within 2 hours of cooking. Avoid wrapping potatoes in foil for storage. Instead, use breathable containers or perforated bags. When reheating, use thorough, even heating methods like oven reheating rather than microwave, and ensure the internal temperature reaches at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit throughout. Number 3. Reheated eggs develop harmful oxidized compounds. Dorothy from Chicago, a retired nurse, always prided herself on eating a protein-rich breakfast every morning. Her routine included hard-boiling a dozen eggs every Sunday night, then reheating one or two each morning throughout the week for quick, nutritious meals. She couldn't understand why she'd been feeling more sluggish lately, experiencing occasional digestive discomfort, and noticing that her usual mental sharpness seemed somewhat dulled. A conversation with her former colleague about nutrition and aging revealed that her egg reheating habit might be contributing to inflammation in her body. Eggs represent one of nature's most complete foods, packed with high-quality protein, essential amino acids, choline for brain health, and vitamins like B12 and D. They're affordable, versatile, and have sustained human nutrition for thousands of years. Whether scrambled with fresh herbs, poached over whole grain toast, or incorporated into frittatas and quiches, eggs provide steady energy and crucial nutrients for maintaining muscle mass, cognitive function, and overall vitality as we age. However, when eggs undergo the cooking, storage, and reheating cycle, their nutritional profile changes in concerning ways. The proteins, which initially denature and become digestible during the first cooking, undergo additional structural changes during reheating. This secondary protein modification can make eggs harder to digest and can trigger inflammatory responses in sensitive individuals, particularly those with aging digestive systems. More significantly, the cholesterol in egg yolks becomes vulnerable to oxidation during storage and reheating. When exposed to heat, light, and oxygen repeatedly, cholesterol transforms into compounds called oxysterols. Research published in the Journal of Lipid Research has linked these oxidized cholesterol compounds to increased inflammation, arterial damage, and cardiovascular disease risk. For older adults already concerned about heart health and circulation, consuming oxidized cholesterol adds unnecessary stress to the cardiovascular system. The oxidation process is accelerated by improper storage and reheating methods. Eggs left uncovered, stored in clear containers exposed to light, or reheated using high heat methods like microwaving are particularly susceptible to cholesterol oxidation. The sulfur compounds naturally present in eggs also break down during reheating, creating that characteristic rubbery texture and sulfurous odor that most people associate with overcooked eggs. Consider how this affects daily life. Frank from Phoenix, a retired mechanic, batch cooks scrambled eggs every few days, storing portions in the refrigerator and reheating them for breakfast, while convenient for his busy schedule. This routine means Frank regularly consumes eggs with modified proteins and oxidized cholesterol. Over months and years, these compounds contribute to systemic inflammation that can manifest as joint stiffness, reduced energy, and even subtle cognitive changes that Frank might attribute to normal aging rather than dietary factors. The inflammatory effects of oxidized compounds are particularly relevant for older adults because inflammation is now recognized as a key driver of age-related diseases. Chronic low-grade inflammation contributes to conditions like arthritis, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and neurodegenerative disorders. While aging naturally increases inflammatory markers, dietary choices can either exacerbate or help manage this inflammation. Research in Nature Reviews Neurology has highlighted how dietary-induced inflammation can cross the blood-brain barrier, affecting cognitive function and potentially accelerating memory decline. For someone in their 60s or 70s, this means that seemingly minor dietary habits like reheating eggs could have cumulative effects on mental sharpness and brain health over time. The solution isn't avoiding eggs, but consuming them more strategically. Fresh eggs remain one of the healthiest breakfast choices available. Consider preparing eggs fresh each morning, which only takes a few minutes longer than reheating. If you must batch cook eggs, enjoy them cold in applications like egg salad, chopped over salads, or sliced in sandwiches where their nutritional integrity remains intact. When reheating is necessary, use gentle, even heat sources like a low-temperature stovetop rather than a microwave. Avoid reheating eggs multiple times and store cooked eggs in covered, airtight containers in the refrigerator for no more than 3 to 4 days. If eggs develop any off odors, colors, or textures, discard them rather than risk consuming oxidized compounds. If you're still with me and finding these insights helpful, please comment below to show your engagement and help others discover this important information. Number 4. Reheated chicken triggers inflammatory protein changes. William from Portland, a retired school principal, thought he was making healthy choices by grilling chicken breasts in large batches every Sunday, storing them in portions, and reheating them throughout the week for quick, protein-rich meals. He couldn't figure out why he'd been experiencing more digestive discomfort lately, feeling bloated after meals, and noticing that his usual energy levels seemed to dip more dramatically after eating. His doctor suggested examining his food preparation habits, leading William to discover how reheating proteins like chicken can create unexpected health challenges. Chicken has earned its place as a dietary staple for good reason. It's lean, affordable, versatile, and provides high-quality complete protein essential for maintaining muscle mass, bone health, and immune function as we age. Fresh cooked chicken supports healthy metabolism, provides B vitamins for energy production, and offers selenium and phosphorus for cellular function. When properly prepared and consumed fresh, chicken remains one of the healthiest protein choices available. The problems begin when chicken undergoes the cooking, storage, and reheating process that many busy households rely on for convenience. During the initial cooking, chicken proteins denature in controlled ways that make them digestible and bioavailable. However, when that same chicken is stored, then reheated, especially using high heat methods like microwaving, the proteins undergo secondary changes that can make them significantly harder to digest. This secondary protein modification creates several challenges for the digestive system. The proteins become more rigid and cross-linked, requiring more digestive enzymes and stomach acid to break down properly. For older adults, who naturally produce less stomach acid and fewer digestive enzymes than they did in younger years, this additional burden can lead to uncomfortable symptoms like bloating, gas, feelings of fullness that last too long, and general digestive sluggishness. Beyond digestive concerns, reheated chicken can contribute to the formation of advanced glycation end products, commonly called AGEs. These compounds form when proteins and sugars are exposed to heat multiple times, creating molecules that promote inflammation throughout the body. Research has consistently linked AGEs to accelerated aging, increased oxidative stress, and higher risks of chronic diseases including diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and neurodegenerative disorders. The inflammatory response triggered by AGEs is particularly concerning for older adults because it compounds the natural increase in inflammatory markers that occurs with aging. This chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, contributes to fatigue, joint pain, reduced cognitive function, and increased susceptibility to age-related diseases. Adding dietary sources of inflammation through foods like reheated chicken can accelerate these processes. Consider a typical scenario. Sarah from Minnesota creates a weekly meal prep routine that includes grilling several pounds of chicken breast on Sunday evening. She divides the cooked chicken into daily portions, stores them in the refrigerator, and reheats one portion each day for lunch throughout the week. By Thursday and Friday, Sarah is consuming chicken that has been stored for 4 to 5 days and reheated using microwave heat that creates hot spots and further protein damage. The textural changes in reheated chicken provide clear evidence of these protein modifications. Fresh cooked chicken is tender, juicy, and easy to chew. After storage and reheating, it often becomes tough, stringy, or develops a rubbery texture that requires more effort to eat. These physical changes reflect the molecular changes happening to the proteins, changes that translate into increased digestive work and potential inflammatory responses. The flavor changes also signal chemical alterations. Reheated chicken frequently develops flat, muted flavors or sometimes off tastes that people often mask with additional seasonings or sauces. These flavor changes occur because the protein structure alterations affect how the chicken interacts with taste receptors and how aromatic compounds are released during eating. For older adults managing multiple health concerns, reducing unnecessary sources of inflammation becomes especially important. Chronic inflammation affects virtually every body system, influencing everything from